Hello, my name is Christopher Leffoltz, and I'm Vice President of Development, and this is the Development Group Conversation pre-video overview that is scheduled for tomorrow, October 7th, 2021. As always with our group conversations, we start with what's top of mind. Where our focus has been largely, at least from my perspective, is on the GitLab.com stand-up, which has turned into a GitLab.com, or I should say a reliability and security stand-up. This has been our focus for pretty much since the beginning of the fiscal year. In particular, the areas that we've been focusing on is Gitly cluster resiliency, a new process called FCLs, which is feature control locks, sub-transaction incidents, as well as just general incidents and follow-up action items associated with that. Creating a culture of reliability and security, error budgets, anti-abuse, API limits, and the Redis team edition. That's what we've been where we've been focused in the last 8 weeks. And it feels like a lot, and it is a lot. So just kind of want to acknowledge that. The engineering allocations have been ramped up. There are now 26 teams that are now working on at least one engineering allocation that's 10% above the floor. We continue on with our InfraDev work, which we've seen pretty good progress there. Q3 OKRs is also a topic that we focus on. Retention is always a top. Retention and hiring are there as well. And then we have several ones listed below that are also important and have been top of mind for me for the last 8 weeks. Headcount and hiring, we've increased our size by 4 people since the last group conversation 8 weeks ago. So we're now at 279 strong. We do have a large number of positions open. This has been a real challenge for us. In particular, we've been not at capacity for hiring. In particular, we only have one recruiter, and we really need a second recruiter. That second recruiter basically started supporting us on September 27th. So we're hoping to see this number go down and get more in line. We have several managers who are on interim. That's exciting to see, as well as a number of lateral transfers. One thing that you will see is that our hiring count has been fairly high from an overall number, because that includes also internal transitions as well as promotions where a person is moving into a management position. Development department KPIs that I'll cover. Our maintainers continue to be strung below the ratio. We need to look at another wave of potentially adding additional maintainers. So we've been pretty consistent here for that part of it. MR rate is near and dear to us. It is a little bit low, and it has been low the past 3 months. In part, I attribute this to both additional time off for various team members, as well as because of the engineering allocations and headcount resets, we have a number of people working in new areas. So that by that definition, they will be a little less efficient in their MR rate, particularly if they're working on reliability issues, which may need additional effort. And also we're walking things into production a little more deliberate with feature flag capability. Our open MR review time continues to be below the line, so that's encouraging, but we got to keep a track of it. Open MR age is above the line. A couple months ago, back in July, I started an initiative to basically bring it down by retiring old MRs. That seemed to help, but we have crawled back up. So we'll have to think about kicking off another initiative. You see a dip here in middle of September. This is because a large number of MRs were opened and immediately closed within a short time span. So that's what you see there associated with that. LCP continues to be strong. We're excited to see it below there. It was down in the 1 second range. What happened was where LCP measures varies depending on how the page changes. So essentially we moved positions on the page, and LCP returned back to around 2 seconds. OKRs, we continue to make solid progress on these. One of the biggest areas that we've made progress on is hitting our error budgets. We're pretty solid there. Areas that we need to work on is in fulfillment and also in workspaces. But those are kind of the big highlights from OKRs that I wanted to mention. As I mentioned earlier, we're trying to create a reliability first culture change. You can see several of the things that we've been working on in this area and ones that are complete. In particular, I want to highlight that there's one currently in progress, which is a set of training videos that we're going to have our team basically walk through, where various members of people from all over R&D are basically talking about why reliability is important and also the different pieces that we put in place to basically help in that effort. As I mentioned earlier, that we have a Gitly cluster rapid action going on right now. This is because we discovered that we could lose track of repos and that they weren't being consistent. There were ways to recover from this, but they were all manual associated with our work. And we needed to basically make it so that customers had a much easier way of doing this. So we're working on recovery procedures associated with that. We're also fixing some of the sync issues, in particular when Gitly cluster is used with Geo. We're also looking at supporting incremental backups as an alternative snapshots, though we'll be also working on recovering from snapshots, architectural improvements for increasing the robustness, and also startup health checks as well. Fulfillment, growth, anti-abuse, applied ML teams are all working on various initiatives here. Probably the biggest highlight is that the fulfillment team is working on reliability of their components, and they're also working on migrating to GCP, which is a huge effort and a huge uplift required for that team. And we're just glad to see progress there. In the area of enablement, we've been focused a lot on DB related activities, though there is one particular highlight that we should mention, which is our operator has hit GitLab operator has hit general availability. So we're excited to see that result from a feature development perspective. But between that and also the DB initiatives, it's been good to see the results there in enablement. And then one of the other aspects that we've been focused on is expanding the incident manager on call. This is the on-call shift associated with when incidents happen, and there needs to be a person who basically helps coordinate issues and initiatives. We've expanded from just the infrastructure team to also now the development team, engineering managers, as well as staff plus engineers are considered for that rotation. So we're working through setting up that. And then last but not least, our SEC section is still actively working on a lot of features, working to get us to complete in that area and those stages. But in particular, want to call out that we're also working on dogfooding and security group approvals for this. Basically, we have currently security approvals turned on for the repos associated with the SEC section. Now we're working on turning it on for the overall GitLab product to improve our product and also dogfood it. That's it for just a brief overview of activities. Please look at the notes associated with the group conversation slides, and please provide us questions that we may be able to answer during the group conversation call.